Chapter 7 Questions and Answers Part 3. Question: if you have a special technique or guidance on praying, I would appreciate it. At this point, I don't want to chase or find or seek love, as I have done that enough in my life previously. Also, I'm an introverted person. Since my last breakup, I'm not going out for dates or anything at all, as I don't feel interested at all. I couldn't understand why I had to qualify myself for the love I deserved. I don't want to go for any lessons at this age when I want to get married to a decent person peacefully. I don't want any heartbreaks at this moment. That's the thing holding me back from finding love. I feel like the universe will throw me some more karmic relationships or lessons instead of the one I want. Please help me with this if you can. I want to heal the fear. Question from Sugar. My answer: thank you for your great questions. When I talk about noticing God or the universe in all your ways, I mean becoming aware of something you've likely already heard. You don't know what you don't know. This awareness allows God to cover your blind spots. Because of this lack of knowledge, you may feel vulnerable to pain, regret, and embarrassment. Luckily, the universe can anticipate all of it. If your fear of loss is greater than your desire to enjoy what you currently have, you'll create resistance or sabotage in your life. You don't have to chase or seek what you want. However, when I mention qualifying, I'm referring to the energetic refinement that needs to occur within you. This is more about physics than belief. Your current vibration is manifesting a lack of what you desire, which is why you fear pain, loss, and vulnerability. Right now, you are either resonating with or lacking the vibration that can attract, manifest, or create the fulfilling, loving relationship you desire. You may have gaps in your neural pathways from past experiences, or perhaps you aren't clear enough in your requests, leading to vague or painful experiences. It could also be that you're experiencing a repeating manifestation, causing you to attract the same type of person in different circumstances. I understand this might sound different, or you may not like the answer. However, when we confront our vulnerabilities and stop fearing the worst case scenario, that's when we genuinely receive what we desire, often better than we can imagine. This is why asking humbly for knowledge and wisdom and searching for them as if they were a goal is crucial to this process. I understand your hesitation about going through karmic lessons, especially after facing so much disappointment. However, I want to clarify the internal change that must happen within your energy, which will occur as long as you follow this recipe. The fact that we are having this conversation indicates that you have been seeking clarity and wanting to understand why your experiences have been so challenging, especially when you see others easily achieving what you desire. I experienced this in the beginning of my journey, and it remains my strongest belief. It forms the foundational belief system necessary for manifesting love. This is the recipe. Are you ready? When I thought about my future marriage, I often considered the worst case scenario. I imagined the worst thing that might happen during the relationship. Specifically, I pictured my spouse sneaking behind my back and cheating on me. I would then exaggerate the scenario in my mind, even imagining that she would cheat with 10 others at the same time. However, when you run these worst case scenarios in your mind from the beginning, you exhaust the energy of vulnerability. By confronting this internal energy and coming to a self-empowering conclusion, the feelings of vulnerability begin to dissipate. I realized how I would respond truthfully. I would be glad it happened. Why would I feel that way? Because I would conclude that I had escaped a relationship that I thought was good for me, but was not meant to be. I would understand that any karmic debt or lessons needed to be learned had already been addressed, as the law of attraction would have shown me that our energies were drastically different and forced a separation. This realization will qualify me even more for the relationship I truly want. I would accept the situation as growth, not loss. And if my previous relationship had been good, then I could only imagine how wonderful the next one will be. You might find that when an opportunity arises to pursue a new relationship, you will even hope your new partner will cheat on you. This way, you can complete your lessons and avoid reacting from a place of vulnerability or fear of loss. When you experience this shift internally, you will attract a partner with similar, complementary energy and witness the magic unfold. The relationship will be mind-blowing. You will achieve this when you stop expecting absolute guarantees in life. You will realize that it's not about them, it's about the personal growth you have experienced. You will enjoy a love that feels pure and nurturing, not because you feel lucky to have them, but because they will feel fortunate to have you. Then you will see the magic. Does that make sense? I encourage you to write this down and read it over and over again. These words carry the frequency of truth and will help release what keeps you from creating what you desire. Her answer: yes, you're right. I have been praying to God to help me manifest Him in my life. 2 days ago, I heard the word law of attraction, and then yesterday, I found your post out of nowhere in my recommendations. I was not even checking this post. I thought I would ask you for the answers. It was like a miracle for me. Thank you very much for answering my questions, and I'm glad to know all these things you mentioned. I'm still figuring out all your words because it feels heavy for my mind to understand it right now, so I'll write them down as you suggested. I believe God has given me the answers through you, and I'll eventually understand it. Question: I have a problem in my long-term relationship of 5 years. The more I elevate my vibration, the more I notice that I feel disconnected from my boyfriend. I don't feel the need to see him or text him. I don't want to be intimate with him. Does this mean we are no longer a vibrational match? Additionally, as I find more peace within myself, I've realized that we have different lifestyles and hobbies. He's really into sports, which I don't enjoy. He's passionate about technology, while I'm not. I love spirituality, art, and learning new languages, but he doesn't share those interests. I've also noticed that I only seem to need him when I'm feeling down. I'm afraid I might make a big mistake if I decide to leave him. He's very kind and generous, showing me love, but I still feel a disconnection between us when I'm happy. Does that make sense? Question from Catherine Craven. The following are thoughts to consider, not absolute truths, as you know your situation better than I do. Based on what you've shared, I can only interpret your circumstances using universal principles. You are responsible for reflecting on everything I say here and discovering the truth of your experience. Consider that the foundation of successful relationships is not exhilaration or excitement, but rather peace. If you have established enough common ground to sustain a 5-year relationship, then finding differences in vague interests may not be as problematic as it seems. You may have already laid the groundwork for a good relationship from which to grow. My wife and I have vastly different interests, yet we use our words to create the experiences that we desire with each other. If you continue to use words like quote-unquote disconnected, we are not a vibrational match anymore, we have nothing in common, you will create more of it and amplify those feelings. Many people who jump from relationship to relationship often seek a fleeting sense of exhilaration or excitement, expecting their partner to provide it. Remember, peace is essential for long-term commitment. You both have the ability to create the excitement and acceleration you desire through the power of your words. Some people become experts at creating new relationships, but then become addicted to the process and struggle to learn how to maintain and keep them. Also, the acceleration you seek can come from other sources, such as hobbies or commonality with friends. Be careful when stamping your experience with negative definitions, since your words are creative. It's essential to recognize that feeling bad or needing your partner when you're down is part of a woman's biological inclination to receive energy from men. This exchange is natural, with much of it occurring through intimacy, which often makes men feel sleepy afterward. Activities like sports, video games, and watching TV are outlets for men's natural recovery. They require a space where they can disconnect and recharge. It's best not to disrupt this process. In fact, encourage it, especially if you find yourself relying too heavily on your partner for energy. However, if the energy exchange becomes too one-sided, meaning you are drawing too much from him, you may be confusing being in love with loving yourself through another person. This could explain why you feel a strong need for him and experience discomfort when apart. Ensure that there is a balanced exchange of energy in the relationship. If you find happiness only when receiving energy from him, consider using that energy to build the relationship further. Otherwise, you might create a deficit that could lead to dissonance, prompting the universe to force a separation as the vibrational match diminishes. You will likely feel very distressed at that point, as the source from which you drew support will no longer be there, making the craving feel akin to needing a harmful fix. Question: can a relationship with a narcissist be changed, healed, or revised so that they are no longer a narcissist? Question from Amanda. Yes, it's possible. Your challenge may revolve around words. Be cautious about labeling negative definitions as you navigate a relationship. Recognize your creative ability, which encompasses your thoughts, your spoken and written words, and your actions. Additionally, the vibrations of your DNA 24/7 create your reality more effectively than anything else. Your ingrained thought patterns program your DNA to automatically align with the frequencies you give it through speech. Hyper-awareness is crucial. You need to be conscious of the manifestations from your bloodline and how they reflect your own experiences. Your environment is also critically important. It's essential to develop a system that nurtures your personal growth. I have a method that can help you harness your creative ability to manifest and create your highest vision of yourself. First and foremost, it's essential to understand that the laws of physics indicate that life acts as a relentless mirror. This means that the energies you distrust highlight unresolved aspects of yourself. What you need is a system that fosters your growth as an individual. Ultimately, it all comes down to clearly defining your desires within the framework of a relationship. Vague requests to the universe lead to vague experiences in life. Question: on average, how long do you feel manifesting should take? I heard a very toxic take from a coach who stated that if it takes longer than 3 weeks, you're doing it wrong. Question from Vivian. Consider this analogy. If someone's 250 pounds overweight compared to their ideal weight, it will naturally take longer for them to reach their goals than someone who is only 30 or 60 pounds overweight. The habits and thought processes of those individuals are significantly different, as are their starting points. Likewise, each person approaches their challenges with unique perspectives that influence what holds them back. Because of these differences, the solutions will vary. One person may require major surgery, while another might simply need guidance on adopting the right diet and exercise routine. Does that make sense? Question. I've manifested my ex back multiple times, but each time she has broken my heart due to her emotional unavailability. I really love her despite everything, but I realize I need to hold firm to my boundaries. What do you think? Is it possible to manifest a change in someone who is avoidant? I'm so accustomed to her being this way that it's hard to envision her any differently. I can't completely ignore reality. That would be foolish. I've tried that before and the same outcome happened. What can I do about this situation? Question from Armando. Many people who describe their relationship in a similar way often do so because they lack clarity about the relationship they truly desire. This uncertainty can lead them to view their experiences through a negative lens, which can create a downward spiral in the relationship as they inadvertently begin to recreate those negative patterns. May I ask you, do you experience feelings of loneliness? When you date, do you feel insecure or desperate, constantly fearing the worst case scenarios when your partner is not around? Do you often struggle with anxious thoughts about being ghosted, dumped, or cheated on? Do you find yourself needing constant reassurance and validation from your partner? Is it ever enough? And he responds, I recognize that I should embody all those qualities in my own life rather than seeking them from others, but I still value my desires, even if they may seem superficial. I strive to resist those desperate, needy, and anxious thoughts, yet it feels like this person acts freely while my selfishness keeps me in a painful situation. I know her patterns very well. She ghosts me. I walk away. She tries to reconnect. And if I lower my boundaries, she continues the same behavior. It's not entirely my fault for perceiving her this way, is it? My answer. This is where I continue to explain to him or them the frustration people experience when attempting to use the law of attraction and obsess over any individual. Can you see how people's challenges can become predictable? Armando responds this way. You're absolutely right. I'm somewhat obsessed with the specific things related to my special person. I believe these obsessions have deep roots in my childhood, and I have a clear idea of what I want, at least for now. I recently broke up with her despite loving her deeply because she stated that she didn't love me and wasn't interested in a committed relationship. That wasn't what I wanted. I was looking for a complete relationship. We've had this conversation before, but I used to ignore her words because her actions seemed to convey something different. They appear inviting, and I guess I just deceived myself. I can't deny it. I'm a bit disappointed that the law of attraction doesn't work in such a specific way. I realize that I need to loosen my grip on the details. Thank you for your time. You're an amazing person. My answer. Certainly. I believe you're experiencing what I refer to as the alchemy of the universe. The universe will qualify you. When you clearly define what you desire, you don't need to worry about qualifying yourself. That is the universe's job. I call this process the alchemy of the universe, where it refines and trains you to be ready for what you seek. The universe can instantly calculate the steps needed for you to become the person who is ready to receive what you have asked for. It then creates a route much like Google Maps, finding the shortest distance from where you are to where you want to be. Your responsibility is to follow that route. The journey may be bumpy or confusing, and you might feel lost at times, but the universe will always reroute you. It anticipates obstacles like traffic and weather changes. You will be guided through a series of stepping stones and milestones. During this process, you will learn valuable lessons and release all energy, those stuck patterns within you that resist what you desire. Ironically, this resistance is part of the reason you may feel you lack what you want. Ultimately, it involves energetic work to bridge the gap between your current frequency and the vibration you aim to hold. His answer: yeah, I too believe that the universe puts you in situations that show what love isn't, so you can find out what love is. Question: how do you calm yourself when your partner does things that upset you, even though they don't have malicious intent? Question from Mary. My answers may not resonate with you, but I find that this approach mostly works. Whenever I notice my wife triggering me, I take note of the feelings that arise within me. I then ask my subconscious mind to remind me of any past actions or behaviors I may have exhibited that made her or others feel similarly. I then would ask my subconscious mind to remind or show me when and how I did something that made her or others feel the same way. If that didn't work, I will use the law of attraction, intention, or prayer to ask for the same thing. When an occurrence comes to mind, the energy is immediately lifted. This is because by matching the energy, you blow it off. Think of it like a singer who hits the right note and the glass shatters. This is because you always reap what you have sown. What goes around comes around. When you acknowledge you are a co-creator, you stop using words that recreate your mere experience of your partner. I then replace the words with positive words. I make commands or literally speak words to fill the vacuum left. I'll say things like, I love my wife, she's the best, she's awesome, she loves me, she's nurturing. Use whatever words you desire to experience. Sometimes we have a field of negative seeds that have been planted. These seeds will grow, and this is how you pull weeds and plant new growth. It may take a while to pull all the weeds you've planted. Question: when you are triggered, how do you react? Do you change based on repetition? What frequency do you use? Is that based on instinct or infinite love? What limitations do you have? Are they mirrored symmetrically or asymmetrically by your partner? Question from Nolan. All great questions. We have developed a process that allows us to navigate our challenges on autopilot. It is rare for us to trigger each other anymore, as we have practiced this process for a sufficient amount of time. We didn't realize how much people can become accustomed to noise and chaos. Now we truly appreciate the peaceful contemplation of each other's company, as we have very little expectation of one another. We only serve each other and create the experience we desire from each other. We no longer experience the karmic cycles of negative spoken words. Instead, we use our words to expand on the experience we desire from each other. Many people confuse infinite love with infinitely tolerating one another. Putting up with each other is a self-created experience via karmic cycles. They are no longer relevant in our world. I wouldn't say we are facing limitations. Rather, the most prominent cyclical karma arises from the dissonance we encounter in family dynamics. However, we are actively doing the work necessary to address this, and we are clearing the field of all disturbances. As we cultivate this space, we are witnessing tremendous growth from the new seeds of creation we have planted. His response: did you meet your awakened partner, or did she or you both awaken during your relationship? My answer: I woke up first and used the processes of self-creation to manifest an awakening moment with her. This experience can only occur if the energy is inclined toward awakening. When one of the two individuals becomes awakened, they change so drastically that the relationship may become highly dissonant if the other person remains stuck in their old patterns. Ultimately, the universe will enforce a separation if the negative space reaches critical mass, since no real harmony exists between them. You can't push a rope, you can only pull it. Wisdom comes from pain. How much have you two experienced together? My answer: you are absolutely correct. However, wisdom can only be grounded in the acceptance of how energy manifests within a relationship. The number one factor that must be considered is the realization of the words being spoken about each other. Most people are not aware of this. This is why most relationships are karmic. We reach a tipping point or a nexus. I was fully aware of how she was creating her experience of me through her words, but she struggled to make that connection. Our presence together was becoming unbearable, and I realized we are at a turning point. Either we will face divorce, or she would experience a profound awakening. I prayed earnestly for the latter, but I knew it was okay if she didn't. Since then, we have been in a truly blissful place. Question: how do you manage growing apart, or in different directions? For example, when you become more spiritual and your partner is not. My answer: yes, you are wise to ask these questions. I've been through something similar. It felt like a fork in the road, a pivotal moment of decision. I'm grateful we survived it. I was the one who became awakened. My wife was not. I made every effort to create an environment of peace and harmony with my own creative force, mainly my words. However, I realized that any upsets in our relationship stem from my wife using negative words in our space. This negativity was draining my mental and emotional energy. It felt as though the universe was pushing for a separation. I became serious about praying and asked the universe to make her aware of how her words were impacting our relationship. I made every attempt to make her aware that she was the one recreating her experience of me. One day, I said something that triggered her into an awakened state. The universe played a significant role in this. On that particular day, she was feeling overwhelmed with anxiety and depression. I mentioned that we can sometimes become entangled with other people's negative energy and suggested that she might be experiencing that. Something resonated deeply with her, and she spoke as if inspired. She said, "I am picking up my mother's anxiety and feelings of panic and fear." She began to sob. The energy shifted and lifted, and she felt better almost immediately. She said everything seemed brighter, and it was as if she had become a new person. I could see her expression of bewilderment. The experience left her astonished. She finally realized the power of people's words and connections. She apologized sincerely for failing to understand how she was creating words that charge our space with intense negativity. From that point forward, our relationship took a positive turn and became truly loving and incredible. I believe that all relationships must undergo a similar process at some point if they are to thrive. Question: how do you react to worries about the future of the relationship or doubts? You may not relate, but these things come up for me. My answer: of course I can relate. Read this carefully. This lesson will save you from a heart attack. Consider the following answers and reflect honestly on how they can relate to you. If you are always worried and anxious with doubts about your relationship, it is because you are not fully aware of your creative ability, or at least not comprehensively. If you are always feeling vulnerable and triggered by always worrying about the worst case scenario, and if your peace is easily shattered by your reactive imagination, continually worrying about what they could be doing or not doing and who they are doing it with, then this is your challenge. Most people who feel like this always confuse being in love with loving the self through the other. If you always feel lifted around them, but become a mess and feel out of control because you fear loss from a disconnection, I guarantee you are feeding from the energy that is missing in you. Subconsciously, the person being siphoned will eventually begin to pull away, and your reactive negative imagination will get worse. They will begin to resent the connection, and the other siphoning will resent the disconnection. It is love others as you love yourself. If you don't know how to love yourself, You won't know how to love others. You can only love others to the extent you have learned to love yourself, and others can only love you to the extent that you have learned to love yourself. This doesn't mean the connection is hopeless. You must learn to disconnect, stop feeding solely from it, and feel the void you feel. How do you do that? Confront your biggest fears and run the worst case scenario in your mind. Exaggerate the scenario. I'll give you an example. At the start of my process, I imagined the worst case. I would imagine her cheating on me with 10 others at the same time. Think about that scenario as if it is actually happening and run through it in your head as much as you can. Do this until you no longer feel as bad. This process exhausts the negative energy you are not confronting. What you resist persists, but what you confront tends to dissipate. The other awareness that will help is to release your need to control what could happen with any one individual. This is because you may be ego invested in a single relationship and invest in your most essential energies in an attempt to guarantee that connection. This is true because the true fulfillment of a relationship comes from what you can create from it. This is because we all need a relationship, but we don't need anyone in particular. When you understand this, then you will know that most relationships are karmic. We need a relationship to create what can help us fulfill through the relationship. This is the reason why most relationships become environments of quiet desperation. Relationships become spaces filled with the creative energy of negative words. He's this, she's that. They don't do such and such. They are being this and that, etc. As a result, relationships begin to mirror the negative words being spoken. Begin shifting the momentum by using positive words to create your experience of your partner. Ironically, this may sometimes backfire, since you are now changing, the connection may no longer be karmic, leading to a forced separation. However, your words will magnetize your creative space and attract someone to fulfill that role.